When the new generation of game consoles came out, one of the things that I remember thinking to myself was that these consoles seemed a lot more expensive than some of the previous generations consoles that were releasing. And when I started to break it down, however, I had considered maybe skipping the Xbox entirely and going into a gaming PC. But as the years have passed, I've still been toying with the idea of, in addition to my Xbox and my Nintendo Switch, also having a gaming PC. And recently, out of curiosity, I looked up what it would cost me to build something close to what my Xbox Series X has in terms of performance, hardware, and graphics. And I think you'll be pretty surprised by how much difference there is in the cost between even an equivalent PC gaming tower to an Xbox Series X. And I'm going to go over that in just a moment. Let's take a look. When it comes to looking at a gaming PC versus the latest generation of Xbox, one of the biggest considerations to really think about is why even go with a gaming PC over an Xbox or vice versa. And one of the biggest things when it comes to gaming PCs that you lack with Xbox, and I even brought this up on my backwards compatibility video on Xbox, is that you have so much more access to past games, historic games, on a computer than you do on a home console, which is for a lot of people one of the largest reasons that a gaming PC makes so much sense for them over going with just a general next generation gaming console. And with that, there's also a high level of freedom in being able to do just more things in general on that computer with more application and more ability to handle different programs and use it for different things than just gaming. So in a lot of ways with a gaming PC, you overall have a ton more control, a ton more freedom, and a ton more options. Now, when you're looking at it as well, for some people playing on a gaming PC is also preferred due to just the good old-fashioned mouse and keyboard controls. I myself, before I was primarily on home consoles, I used a gaming PC for a very long time, and for me it took a lot of adjustment getting used to using a controller over using a mouse and keyboard, and that's, in my opinion, one of the biggest staples of why some diehards will continuously stick with PC. Now, I know on the Xbox some games support mouse and keyboard. I'm not sure how well it works. I've never actually tried it. I know that that's starting to become a thing for home consoles, but it's definitely not taken off or become a standard like it is on a PC. And kind of back to the freedom element as well, you don't necessarily just have to use a mouse and keyboard. Most PCs are well equipped to deal with all the different controllers that are out on the market, especially the Microsoft Xbox controllers. So you're definitely not limited when it comes to controls as well on a gaming PC. And one other thing that I do think is worth mentioning as well is, unlike the Xbox, a gaming PC has the features of being able to be VR compatible, which is something that doesn't look like we're going to be able to see or are going to see on the Xbox anytime soon. So in a lot of ways, these features for some people are a big deal, and why some people will consider building or having a gaming PC over a console. And I know it's definitely a consideration of mine as well, and something I am going to probably eventually delve into sooner than later, as my current PC was originally a low budget gaming PC from a number of years ago, and it's definitely outdated now. Now, what this leads me to, however, is one of the reasons why I like the way home consoles are designed, especially this day and age, and one of the biggest features is actually less of a hardware feature and more of the way game consoles are treated versus a gaming PC, and that's purely the optimization. A lot of times, game developers, to try to appeal to the larger markets of home consoles, will spend extra time and effort optimizing for consoles like the Xbox or PlayStation to really squeeze out the most power and most features and conventional mainstream games on those devices. So in other words, even though the hardware may be weaker than some higher end gaming PCs, the home consoles tend to squeeze out a lot of this optimization as greatly as possible to maximize how well these games perform and look, even with lesser hardware in some cases. And the next thing as well is Xbox has a lot of ease of use, right? There's a lot of, it's a pretty relatively simple design or system to use, to set up, and things like Game Pass are so well integrated that it's really easy to just jump in and start playing. Of course, there's still download times just like on PC, but you know what I mean. It's a lot more accessible for the common person. But the biggest point of this video and the biggest comparison I want to really talk about is price. So one of the biggest differences between building a gaming PC versus an Xbox is how much difference there is in cost, even if you're trying to build the equivalent build to an Xbox Series X. So I went on PC Gamer and I looked at how they would build a gaming PC. This was back in 2020, so I've updated some of the components myself. But if you were to break down the difference in cost, so if you were looking at an equivalent processor, for example, the closest processor you could get to the Series X's in a computer would be about $399, and apparently that's on sale on Amazon, right? So that's the Ryzen 7 3700X. So out of the gate, that's almost 60% of the cost of an Xbox Series X. And if you keep building this, so now we have to add a graphics card. So originally on PC World, they recommended the NVIDIA RTX 3070. But if you compare to what's currently going on, it's about the same price now to get a Asus GeForce RTX 4070 for basically the same price. So we're looking at $778 for that, right? Then you throw in a tower for $124, and I just picked a generic black one to kind of look almost like an Xbox to keep this fair. You throw in a power supply at $129. You throw in your RAM, you're about $102. You throw in your solid state hard drive, the same 1 terabyte as the Xbox, you're $93. Right, and then of course you need the motherboard to connect all this, and I just went off of a recommendation on Reddit, and this motherboard here, I'm not even attempt to pronounce all the different specs of it, but it's around $258. You have to have an operating system as well, and that's $169, and I'm just assuming that you already have a display for this device, so you already have a monitor or a TV that can handle this. And we're tallying in at $1,659, which is a substantial increase over the Xbox Series X, which, if I'm just punching this into Amazon, you can currently get an Xbox Series X on sale with a $10 coupon for $621. So we have a gargantuan gap in pricing between these two devices. And this is, as I understand, the closest spec-wise you're going to get to a Series X in a home computer. We're looking at a substantial gap in the cost difference between those two things. So the cost of entrance to get into a PC gaming equivalent is basically, for most people who are looking at just playing a good game, a lot of times unaffordable, unless, of course, you want the freedom of having a gaming PC, of having a library and access to tons and tons more games than you would ever have on an Xbox Series X. So that might be worth it to spend almost 3 times the amount of what it would cost to get just an Xbox Series X generally, right? And actually, I think I didn't even factor in a controller, so we're probably even closer to $1,700 if you were to just get a controller or a good mouse and keyboard with that setup, right? So this video is not to bash PC gaming, because I myself come from that background. I enjoy gaming on a PC. I'm definitely a little bit more out of the loop, but part of putting this video together, I was surprised at the dramatic difference in cost between the two devices. And I think in a lot of ways, it's really a shame that it's so expensive to get into PC gaming, because I do appreciate some of those fantastic features and abilities that I have that I simply just can't and won't get on a home gaming console.